Hey guys, this is Mike the Detroit Borg with a look at the new 11.6-inch MacBook Air for June 2012. This was just announced yesterday at WWDC and went on store shelves today. So basically, this is a spec upgrade from the previous model, so we get some new features and some faster hardware. There is really no change to the external body design. We got the same screen resolution, we just get a few new features. So a few of them include a new MagSafe 2 connector, which is designed to be thinner and accompanies the new thinner MacBook Pro Retina display, which we'll take a look at in a later video. We also get USB 3.0 in addition to Thunderbolt, so we get the best of both worlds. We also get an HD 720p FaceTime camera, so believe it or not, we just had a VGA camera, so that joins the rest of the Mac line with a full HD FaceTime camera. The other big story here is the new Ivy Bridge processor, so we go from Sandy Bridge to Ivy Bridge. Now in terms of specs, again, we have the 1.7 GHz dual-core i5 processor, but you can upgrade to the 2.0 GHz i7 processor if you so choose. This comes standard with 4 gigs of RAM, but you can upgrade to 8 gigs of RAM. We have 128 gig SSD in this version, but you can get it for $100 cheaper with a 64 gig SSD, but that's just too small. I definitely don't recommend it. 11.6-inch LED backlit screen with a resolution of 1366 by 768. We also get Intel's HD Graphics 4000, which is their integrated graphics solutions. We also have that new built-in FaceTime HD camera. Again, that's 720p, 2 USB 3 ports, headphone jack, microphone, OS X Lion, etc., etc. Now this does come shipped with OS X Lion, but if you buy it now, you get a free upgrade to OS X Mountain Lion. Alrighty, enough with the specs. Let's take a look inside the box. Now let's just go ahead and lift the lid to take a look inside. So inside is the MacBook Air, and incidentally, the cover of the box does contain this foam padding to protect it during shipping. So here's the MacBook Air with this handy dandy tab to lift it out of the tray. You can see it's wrapped in plastic to protect it, and we'll unwrap that in just a minute while we take a look at the accessories. So here we have a little packet here with some literature designed by Apple in California. What you won't find this time is any sort of restoration software. So we don't have a disk or a USB drive. Instead, you can do that through a partition, or you can download the restoration from Apple. So hello. So again, just some literature on how to use the software that comes with your MacBook, including FaceTime, iPhoto, iMovie, the Mac App Store, iCal, iTunes, Safari, Launchpad, Mission Control. This is all Lion stuff. MacBook Air Important Product Information Guide, so all the legal literature you need. And of course, and most importantly, Apple stickers. Now also inside is our very neatly wrapped cable. This is probably as neat as it will ever be, along with our power brick. So let's go ahead and slide that off. So you can see we have attached to the power brick, permanently attached to the power brick, our new MagSafe 2 connector. So you can see it actually looks like a dock connector. Now taking a look at this cable, here is that new MagSafe connector. So you can see it's actually metal, it's not plastic, and this little cap pops off. There you go. So just like the original or the existing power brick, again you have these folding prongs, at least in the United States. This pops off and you can attach any prong you want, or you can add the extension cable like the one they've included here. So for example, here's the extension cable with the adapter. Slide that on. There you go. Now they've also included these prongs here so you can wrap up your cable. Now onto the star of the show itself, the 11-inch MacBook Air. Again, we have this little tab here. We're just going to break the seal and slide it out of its envelope. Now take a look around here. Nothing much has changed. So we still have those hard plastic feet on the bottom, along with those Torx screws, which make this panel somewhat difficult to take off. You just have to buy special screwdrivers for it. You have a slot here for your finger to lift up the lid. On the edge here, we also have a vent near the hinge, which allows the MacBook Air to breathe. It also breathes through its keyboard. On the side, we have a Thunderbolt port, which acts also as the display port, and we have the USB 3.0 port, which also works with USB 2.0. Now, what you might notice here is that these are not blue like they are on PC, so Apple was able to keep their ports white instead of blue. Now, on this side, we have a MagSafe 2 connector, a USB 3.0 connector, headphone inputs, which also double as line-in or microphone inputs. We have a microphone, And you can see it tapers down to that familiar wedge-shaped design we're all familiar with on the MacBook Airs. And we have a little slot here to lift up the lid. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's just lift up the lid. You kind of have to pry it open here. And we have a little piece of styrofoam here to protect, actually paper, to protect the glass. You can see it's a very glossy screen here. Now once again, nothing has changed here. We still have a backlit keyboard along with line-specific controls up top, including our power button and this oversized glass trackpad. And as you can see, we still have that nice wedge-shaped design, which makes this a very ergonomic keyboard to use. This is still a chiclet-style keyboard, so they're kind of low profile. So if you're not a big fan of that, that's something to keep in mind. These are very low-profile keys, of course, to keep this MacBook very thin. Now at the top of the screen, we also have our new 720p HD camera along with a hidden LED indicator letting us know when the camera is active. Alright, so let's go ahead and boot this up for the first time. Alright, so now the MacBook Air is going to take us through our setup instructions. So we're going to use English, we're going to use the United States as our location, we're going to use the US keyboard, and we're going to connect to our local Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go to my time capsule here and type in my password. Now I have several options to set up my new Mac. I can transfer information from another Mac, from a Windows PC, from a Time Machine backup or other disk, or don't transfer now. So I'm going to say don't transfer now, and I can do that later if I want using the transfer assistant. Now the next thing it wants me to do is take a photograph, so let's do this really quickly here. Smile. Alright, and then we can continue. And now it's just going to take us on how to use the trackpad. So we have 2 fingers natural scrolling. And now we log in with that password. So there is OS X Lion. Now wants us to log into our iCloud account, which again is just our Apple ID. Now I also have the option to use iCloud to sync bookmarks, contacts, calendaring, everything from my existing account, which will set it up automatically on this computer, and use Find My Mac, which will allow me to locate my computer if it's stolen or lost, shut it down, lock it, wipe it, that sort of thing. So let's go to next. And we're going to allow that feature, and we are all set. So that's going to transfer all my information, and we're set to start using our new MacBook Air. Now briefly going over our function keys up top, we have our screen brightness, mission control, launcher for getting to our apps. We also have our keyboard brightness, so we can bring that up or all the way down. We have our media control, including reverse play, pause, our mute, volume up, volume down, and we have our power key. So with the lights lowered, we can take a look at the backlit keys. And up here we have our controls. So brightness down, or brightness all the way up. So you can see it makes a big difference. Now the new MagSafe connector works a lot like the old one. Again, it uses magnets to connect to the power port, so all you have to do is bring it close by, slots into place. It will glow amber when it needs to charge the battery, and once it's fully charged, it will glow green. And you can see that the light is on both sides of the connector, and it doesn't matter how you align the connector, it works either side. Now one of the visible differences between the 2011 and 2012 MacBook Air is that MagSafe 2 connector, which is thinner and wider than the outgoing model. Now these connectors are incompatible with each other, so you do need to purchase an adapter if you want to use each other's cables. So you can buy that online from Apple for $10. We also have a USB 3.0 port versus a USB 2.0 port. You can see there is a slight difference in the design there. And we can also see there's some movement here on the logos for the connectors. And it's also the same story on the other side. Same connectors, but they've moved the logos over. Now taking a look at the new MagSafe 2 connector versus the MagSafe 1 connector. You can see that they are incompatible here. So you do have to buy an adapter. There are different pins. They're a different dimension. They've also redesigned the connector itself, so you can see we have this sort of dock-like connector versus the side-loading connector. Actually, the original MagSafe connector looked a lot like this. It was plastic instead of metal, which wasn't very durable, so they redesigned it to the side-loading model, and it looks like they've gone back to it now that they've changed it to metal. So that may or may not be popular. I actually really like the side-loading version. But if you want to continue to use this, all you have to do is buy that adapter. And once again, you also have LED lights on the top and bottom. So that's going to do it for me, guys, in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.